Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of July 19th, 2015. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week, we've got some really interesting phenomenon taking place, as we do all the time, and it does suggest that we've got a varied atmosphere. An atmosphere at one hand that can say, whoa, that was way too much information or motivation. And at the same time, we've got energy playing out that is truly grounding, that is mature, that is stable, and that is secure as well. So when you've got energies that are so opposed over the course of a week or just appear on the surface to be very different, there are a few ways to handle it. One of the ways is just let your life be all kinds of things, right? Which is often more fun. Let your life be a little bit too much in one area. Let your life be full of surprises in another area. And let your life be stable and secure in other areas. Another way to deal with it is to bring these energies together so that ultimately what it is that is revealing ends up ultimately creating greater stability as well. And this way we integrate our lives and we work with the sky and bring it all together to ourselves. Because ultimately everything that happens in the sky is a reflection of what is happening within us. And we are one person. Yes, we have varying parts of us and varying motivations to us, but ultimately we're one person seeking to integrate these various parts and honor the various motivations that are taking place within us. And that's going to be the big question this week. How do you honor different motivations? How do you honor sort of different areas of life asking for your attention while keeping your eyes on the big picture, on the long term, and on the proverbial prize as well? So at the start of the week, we've got Mercury speaking with Uranus. At the end of the week, Mars speaking with Uranus. Now, they are both speaking with Uranus in a conversation called a square, that astrologers call a square. And this is a conversation of tension, of motivation. Uranus is the planet of surprises. So you put that together, this is really communications or information seeming to come out of nowhere that may create some tension that ultimately will help us to serve us to lead towards motivation. So information coming our way towards the end of the week, this is the motivation. This is the determination. But this is also action, okay? Now, Uranus speaking with Mars at the end of the week, we are slowly going to be building towards this. Mars is a slower moving planet, so we tend to feel him coming on a few days before his conversations are exact with other power players in the sky. So Mars speaking with Uranus towards the end of the week is likely to bring with it some surprises that spur us to action, okay, that make us sort of grab our attention, get us out of our seat, if you will, and get us running in a certain direction. Now, I wouldn't be fair, I wouldn't be mindful, I wouldn't be honest, and I'm always going to be honest with you if I didn't caution you a little bit, especially as we're approaching further and further into the week. While we've got, and I'll talk about in a second, the more stabilizing elements taking place this week, as I consider the fact that late in the week, we are slowly building towards this energy. Now, this can be sort of people having very strong emotions that take a lot of people by surprise. People making some very quick and sudden decisions, taking sudden actions that take a lot of people by surprise. Now, that might be you. That might be other people around you. It might even be your reactions, you being spurred to like a very passionate response. And that sort of takes you aback. That makes you go, wow, okay, I've never really acted that way. I never saw that coming in me. I didn't know I could feel that way. I didn't know that button could be pressed. But it's possible. It's all possible, right? Because everything is a part of us ultimately. And so we're capable of having just about any reaction. And that is one of them. Now, what's interesting to me about this particular conversation is that this can be a conversation that sort of brings with it certain reactions, or we are the ones who originate the reactions. And as part of this, Mars is a planet, yes, of sort of energy, of athletics, of determination, but this can also be energy that has to do with cars, okay? So, in general, this particular conversation, again, I'm always going to be honest with you, this can be like just really impulsive action that can lead to accidents, okay? So, I was a little cautious of saying that. Now, it it needn't work out that way, okay? It doesn't need to manifest that way, obviously. But the way that we ultimately ensure that when we see energy like this coming, the way we ensure it doesn't manifest that way is, first and foremost, patience. Patience, grasshopper, does everything, right? It really is the healing balm that smooths our way as we go along this journey that we call life. So patience, number one, with ourselves and with others as well. That 1 second breath can make all the difference, especially when you're doing anything that is sort of where you have to be sensitive to others around you. Like if you are driving, right? If you are ice skating, for example, right? Anything that might involve you being around other people in a physical sense, you want to be sure that you're being absolutely aware of what's happening around you and striving to stay in the present moment while also striving to be patient. But I don't think it's going to be that hard to actually be patient, and that is mostly because of this wonderful, really positive, stabilizing energy playing out. Now, what we have happening, playing out, the stabilizing energy, if you will, is Mercury and the Sun. So Mercury and the Sun will be traveling close together this week, as they often do. It's not unusual. They like to meet each other in the sky. Mercury kind of dances around the Sun, if you will. So sometimes it's just a little bit before the Sun, sometimes a little bit after, never more than 2 signs away from the Sun. So he sort of goes back and forth around the Sun. And as Mercury is doing this is one of those times when these two planets are going to meet in the sky. And these two planets will be traveling very close together and will reach out to Saturn. Will reach out to Saturn in supreme harmony before moving into the sign of Leo together and then perfecting their conversation. The fact that both of these planets will be speaking in supreme harmony with Saturn, to me, is very encouraging, because it suggests that we have that ability not only to be patient, but to really consider the long-term and the full-term implications of whatever action it is that we choose to take. It is that breath. It is that moment. But not only that, it is the promise that if you take that breath, if you take that moment, something good will come about from it. And I've seen this time and time again. I have seen this so many times from people around me, through observing in my own life as well, where you see somebody who catches another person or is able to deal with a certain situation with patience, with grace, with calm, with a real ability to understand the larger implications. When you see people like this operating, they really do stand out. These are people who get our attention. They really are the receiver of our gratitude, if not more. And so if you are somebody, for example, who works in customer service, this could be, for example, a customer being very unruly, you dealing with it with absolute patience and not realizing that actually somebody's been watching, a boss has been watching, and gives you kudos as a result, that you get some sort of a gain that benefits you in the bigger picture of your life because of the patience you exercised in a moment that otherwise could have gone very impulsively, could have had people really sort of losing their patience with each other. You being the calm force within that can end up garnering you kudos as a result. So there's a lot of value right now in thinking as big picture as possible, in thinking about what it is ultimately that is your ultimate aims, and really grounding yourself in that. And also, really importantly, not letting anyone else have any control over your emotions. Now, this is one of those things that, we're here to learn, I do think, as human beings. It's one of the things that we're here to learn as human beings, and that we sort of more and more fully appreciate over the course of a lifetime. Well, this is one of those moments when we could, get 10 lessons in one moment, if you will. Not letting anyone else control your emotional state, and you deciding what's going to be best for you to feel in any given moment, and how you're going to respond from that really is our ticket to some fantastic gains that last. That is the promise of the sky this week. And I think that that is a grand promise, but a promise that can very much be fulfilled before the week is out. Also this week, by the end of the week, Venus will stand still in the sky and go retro, what we call stationary retrograde. Now, this is happening at the very end of the week. So I will be talking a little bit more about this for next week's horoscope. But of course, I did want to remind you that I have created special horoscopes just based on the Venus retrograde that is taking place this year, this summer. So there's a special video that talks all about Venus retrograde, and particularly this Venus retrograde. And of course, then I go through every single sign, just like I do for the weekly. It's like sort of a supplement to the weeklies that you see in the same format, but focusing just in on the Venus retrograde that's taking place. So Venus will stand still in the sky and begin to go backwards over the course of this coming weekend that we end the week with. So I'll talk more about this next week, but of course, do be sure to watch that Venus retrograde special horoscope to get a much more complete picture about what's happening now and some of the more exciting things that are coming up for you ahead. But this is passion, lots of passion as we're ending the week and beginning next week. So lots of passionate energy in the air. I hope that you utilize it well, of course, and utilize it very much to your advantage. And just trust love. Only good things happen when we trust love. I do believe that very much. Well, thank you so much for watching this introduction to the week. I'm so very grateful for this moment with you. I love our interactions. Please do keep them coming. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com. I love your feedback on Synchronicity University. So I launched that with the last trine, the conversation that took place between Uranus and Jupiter. Whenever Uranus and Jupiter do something, I try to do something new. Okay, I sort of plan these things a little bit in advance whenever I see they're going to do something special. And this is one such case. So this is one of those cases. And I launched Synchronicity University, and you guys have been so amazing, so receptive. So please do keep your feedback, your questions, all of that coming. I absolutely am so grateful for your trust. Sometimes the questions you ask me are a little bit more personal, having to do with your unique situation. If that's the case, please do consider a personalized horoscope where I can do just that, where I can look at your unique chart and answer your specific questions. Now, the personalized horoscopes, we have some new areas of focus now, or at least I'm offering new areas of focus. Very excited about that. And they're being received really well, so thank you. So they have to do with love and luck, success in career and luck, and also life purpose. So those are the new areas of focus, along with the traditional areas of focus that I've had there for quite a few years now, that I've been offering personalized horoscopes that have to do with love, career and money, health, relocation, or whatever else, whatever specific question you have. Certainly I can look into that for you as well. Also, my book is in hard copy right now, Astrology Realized. Very excited about that. Now, the hard copy of the book is also going to be available at Lilydale Assembly. I'm going to be there August 19th, and I'll be giving a talk on making the best choices with astrology. I'm very much of the belief that astrology is at its best when it empowers us with awareness to make those very best choices that we can. So that's really what the talk is going to be about, and I'm actually going to go through the signs as well, talking specifically about what parts of you, depending on your sign, depending on what part of you you want to access, whether you want to look at your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, where is it that you can actually tap into power of that sign to make choices that ultimately are going to benefit you and help you go in a direction that you most desire to go. So that's what my talk is going to be about. And in addition to that, I will have copies of my book, and I will be signing copies of my book. So I'm so looking forward to meeting you guys. So many of you have reached out and said that you are hoping to be there, planning to be there. So I would just love to meet as many of you guys as possible. It will be so amazing to have that time with you, because of course we do interact here online, and I absolutely love that. But it's very special, as I learned recently in LA, it's very special to actually meet friends and fans in person as well. So that will be a lot of fun, I'm sure. So how all this wonderful celestial adventures happening this week speak to you in your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week, your ruling planet Mars will be speaking with Uranus. That really is going to be the dominant energy for you this week. Now, if any sign needs to be reminded to be patient, it would be you, because it does look like, I'm going to be honest, it's likely going to be a family situation, maybe someone from your family virgin, maybe one of your parents who pushes one of your buttons a little bit. Your real strength is going to be to think big picture and to think, how am I going to transform this situation? Because ultimately what you want is not to have experiences like this. So it looks like you may be ordinarily already, and it might not even be the intention. I'm actually seeing that it's not the intention necessarily to do something to upset you, but it might be just your interpretation that takes a certain interaction with a family member, somebody from your family of origin, a certain way. So where that situation applies, it's possible that you have a bit of a reaction, a bit of a sore spot, a button pressed, and how you react in that moment really can change things really for the rest of your life. But it is going to require you be patient. It is going to require you being able to see that for what it is, right? See the intention behind it and be able to think, okay, how is it that I can not only change this, but also have something to say, be honest about it, seek to understand, say something like, why would you say something like that? Like, do you know that that actually is something that's a sensitive area for me? Or do you know that that actually is not very nice to say to a person and I'm somebody you love? Like, why would you say that? Like, taking that approach instead of just having a reaction could do not only you a world of good, but could end up bringing you that much closer to this other person and really help you to find a way forward that lasts a very, very long time, that has a real long-term potential to last a long time. Also, when I look at the sky for you this week, it does look like where it comes to true and authentic sharing, okay, really when it comes to sharing matters of a home, finances around home and stuff, you've got lots of luck and lots of energy around that as well. Now, this is also really good for sale of a home. So if you're looking to sell, buy, move, lots of luck around that to make something happen for yourself that leaves you feeling actually very profitable as well. In love this week, what is really powerful is those quiet moments, those moments that ultimately bring you that much closer to another person, those moments where you feel like you can be alone in the company of another person. That allows for real emotional intimacy to take place. So if you are in an established bond, that's very likely to be one of the dominant experiences now where you feel that much closer, that much more committed to another person. If you are not in an established bond, that's really going to be what you're seeking. You're looking very big picture now. Now, thankfully, by the time we get to the end of the week, the energy just shifts and become a lot more fun and a lot more flirty as well, which should work for singles out there. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we have got some wonderfully exciting, but also unpredictable energy taking place. Now, the exciting part of this for me, for you, maybe not necessarily as exciting as bells and whistles, but we do have some really stabilizing energy taking place for you in the realm of your relationships. This is one of those moments where a lot of the journey you've been through with another person, where you're in an established bond, business relationship or otherwise, really feels like it comes together. Really feels like there's a new understanding, a growth sprout, if you will, that really solidifies a lot of the learning that has been taking place for you since late 2012. Now, this is what happens when we're in those last few weeks, those last few moments of having Saturn in this part of the sky. For you in particular, which has to do with your relationship. So this is part of the rewards coming in now, okay? So enjoy them. Where there's been strife, you will now find strength. Where there's been confusion, you will now get your answers as well. Now, this is true if you're single also. If you've wondered why things went the way that they did and what is it that you could have done different, this week should calm all that down very much by surprise. It seems to come out of nowhere, but a lot of that conversation gets calmed down significantly thanks to some very chance encounters and chance information coming your way that ends up being a big game changer and ends up allowing you to see yourself, your learning, your lessons, your attractions very differently. That much the better as well. Now, what's also really great about this week for you is that I think what I really like is what otherwise might be sort of coming out of nowhere for people. For you, it remains largely quiet. So it's more of a conversation that leads to an internal breakthrough, that leads to you confronting where it is that maybe you've been holding yourself back, that allows you to let go of a fear that you don't need to carry anymore. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week we've got your ruling planet Mercury making all kinds of connections in the sky with Uranus, with Saturn, and with the Sun as well. Also changing signs, moving into a much more harmonious placement for you into the sign of Leo. Now, I look at this and it suggests to me on the one hand a very eventful week for you. You are going to be one of those signs that has a truly eventful week. But the other aspect of this really has to do with a week that really can be, that really can change a lot of things for you, really can help you understand that much more deeply and really help you to probe the deeper meaning of what otherwise would seem superficial on the surface. So we've got some interesting energy in the beginning, especially, that's playing out that has to do with finances, okay? What's really going on with your finances? Why are you where you are in your financial picture? How do you really feel about it? Have some expenses come up? What is going on? What is that saying about you? Have you been dissatisfied with your financial outlook now or for a while? Or has it just begun? These are going to be questions you're going to be looking at and really digging deep to find the right answer. What is at the source of your financial reality today? And what is it that needs to happen? Whether it's within you, which a lot of times, honestly, it is. A lot of times it does have to do with looking at our own beliefs, our own energy, but maybe not, right? Maybe it has to do with what it is ultimately you're pursuing. You say you want one thing, but your energy and your attention is going in another area. It might be that you're in a current situation that is not valuing you and you need to start taking some small actions to make changes. It might be that you need to diversify, right? If you're dependent on one source of income, it may be that you have to open up the possibilities for you and consider other options as well that ultimately might end up being a lot more rewarding. So we've got this tension playing out here that suggests to me that there might be, again, I'm always going to be honest with you, but it does look like there might be, whether it's expenses, whether it's demands, but it all plays out in terms of your finances, whether it's coming or whether it's going, it's asking more of your energy just to get it. These are going to be questions that are going to be coming up for you. So you're either working hard for the money, or you're working hard, not seeing enough money, or you're working hard, but feeling like the money just comes and it goes just as quickly. And so finding that right balance so that you feel valued and you feel like what you give has value in the world, all of that is on offer now. All of that is going to be up for consideration for you as you consider the best way forward. What I also really like about this week for you is that we do have this wonderful harmonious placements happening, harmonious conversations taking place in the sky that speak largely to your work environment. So it does look like, at least in the workspace, right, with the amount of clients that you have, that's there, that's in place. It looks like you are getting, whether it's an increase of responsibility or just your bosses are liking what you do, supervisors are liking what you do. It does look like you are in some way advancing your position or securing where you are, and feeling a sense of reward as a result, making some power moves, truly power moves that really can help you for a very long time to come. That is taking place now, but a lot of that is not necessarily, it's almost as if I'm seeing a disconnect. You're like, okay, well, the kudos are coming. I'm feeling strong in my work environment. Now where's the money? What money part of it is there as well? You can find that right balance and you can find a way to have them come together. In fact, it might be sort of a question of what's going to happen to me financially that leads you to take the right risk that ultimately, and by risk, I mean by finding a mature, stable, secure way to state your claim. Now, in the introduction, I spoke about how one example that this energy can play out this week is you could be, if you work in customer service, you could have a really difficult customer. They might be very impulsive, very impatient with you. They might be a little loud with you, but you're able to calm and diffuse the situation. You're able to bring a whole other maturity of energy and resolve whatever issue there is. And that gets the attention of a supervisor that ends up helping you tremendously and ends up being noticed and helps you in your work environment. This is the type of thing that could be noticed and how this energy could play out for you now. So there's lots of promise taking place for you in the context of the work that you're doing and in the context of feeling better about yourself as well. Now, where it comes to love, now the things that I like to see that really highlight love, not seeing too much of that playing out in all honesty. What I am seeing playing out here though is that you are thinking about ways to better integrate a more solid experience and integrate whatever it is in your life that brings you greater stability. That might be a partner. So this might be you saying, okay, let's spend more time together. Let's establish some routines together. Very possible with a partner that you're already with as part of strengthening that bond. And if you are open to meeting somebody new, you have a real potential now to meet somebody solid and secure as you go about your business, particularly any kind of health care or health, not necessarily health, health care, but also health improving endeavors. So whether it's going to the gym, going for a walk, going to the health food store, it's in these environments that the possibility is there to meet somebody who really has stable energy and long-term potential. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week we've got Mercury particularly active in your sign. We've also got the Sun still in your sign as well. And it really is there, along with Mars, in your sign is where the party is this week. Now, before the week is out, that is going to start to change. You'll still have Mars in your sign at the end of the week, but Mercury and the Sun will leave your sign. So birthday month will be over. It has to end sometime, but that's good. Energy changes, energy moves. We start to focus more and more on just about anything that you want to focus on. But just before it does, as I said, there is a party brewing in your sign, and this can be really great. Or this can be a time of a awakening, okay? So this can be the type of awakening that's a rude awakening, to be honest. And this can also be a time of an awakening that brings that long-awaited change. It's like, finally, what was I waiting for? I can't believe I had this opportunity, that. It's almost as if the events that took place with the recent new moon in your sign now are fleshing out more fully. So wherever it is that, yes, you may have embraced change, yes, you might have felt like you were starting a new chapter of sorts. If you still felt, if you were one of those Cancerians who still felt like some pieces need to come together or things weren't going the way that you wanted, or yes, you want to change and yes, you're motivated and some stuff is changing, but you're not exactly sure which way to go, this week will bring those answers. In some cases, much by surprise as well. So if you are one of those of your sign who has found that you have certain desires for your career, things that you want to achieve, but it feels like it hasn't been flowing the way that you should. Maybe you've been going about it a whole other way. This is going to be your wake-up call, to be really honest with you. In fact, I do think there's a strong possibility where, and again, I'm always going to be honest with you, right? But it does look like there's a very strong possibility where someone is likely to come to you and say, hey, what do you really want? Do you really want this career path that you're going on? Do you think this is your life purpose? What is it then that you're actually doing to affirm that, to actually live that? Now, so for those of you who are not necessarily living congruently with your stated intention, you may get called out on it, okay? That's a possibility. The other possibility with this is that it's more of an internal process, right? It's more of you kind of saying, you know what, I've been going about it this way, but I've got to go about it differently. And I think a lot of you might be surprised at the place that action can actually take. So there might be a part of this that has to do with you thinking a certain way or having a certain conversation or having certain conversations and connections, but your action plan has not been congruent with what it is that you're actually saying or what it is verbally that you're actually going for. So you've got to fine tune that action plan. So wherever there's a disconnect between ultimately what you believe your purpose is in the higher direction you're going in and what it is you're actually living, this is going to be you in some way having that awareness, having that wake-up call. Now, this could be really needed. If you know your path, if you're like, you know your path, it's very clear, you've got this direction that you're going in, you've got these things that you're meant to do with your life, and you know that, and you feel that, and you resonate with that, then this is going to be very welcome, because this is going to be about putting you really to fine tune that path and bring you back powerfully forward and focused on the direction that you most desire to go. But where it is that maybe you haven't been really honest with yourself or you've been scattering energies, the universe is going to help you to focus in on what really matters. Now, where it comes to love, you've got some really wonderful stabilizing energies that come to love playing out this week. In particular, if you are in an established bond, this is just realizing how much better your life is with this person. If you are not in an established bond, this is really great for getting, on the one hand, for having a gentle flirt with somebody who turns out to be a very strong contender, somebody who really holds promise for being somebody who could stay around for a while, that you could love for a really long time as well. Now, it does look like this person, if you are one of those people open to meeting somebody new, there's an understanding very quickly. It seems to fall very much into place now. So this is going to be dependent on you being social, though. You are going to have to be social. There's a part of you that's going to be sort of drawn towards dramas that have to do with what's happening at work and what's happening with you, and asking yourself some really probing questions. But if you can, in some way, also find a way not to make it so serious and have a little bit of fun. It's in those fun moments that a lasting connection has the possibility of taking root. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week, by the time the week is over, the Sun and Mercury will have moved into your sign. So the Sun moving into your sign means a very big happy birthday to you. Your birthday month begins, but just before that happens, lots of other adventures are taking place in the sky. Now, a lot of these adventures are happening sort of in the sign just before yours. So this is the part of the sky that tends to be one of the quieter parts of the sky, and the parts of the sky we're not necessarily always conscious of. We might hold some of our fears, and also the dreamscape as well. So that's going to be really active space for you. I gotta say, lots of clearing of energy happening in that space. This is also a really good week too, if you are so inclined. Get an energy treatment. So if you are inclined towards any of the different sort of energy modalities that are out there to help you clear energetic blocks, right? Blocks that have to do even with what's happening on a level of your body, on a level of psyche. This is a time to do that. Also, really powerful time to sit in meditation. Wherever it is that you want to get in touch with something that is more profound, something that infuses everyone and everything, and working with that to move your life forward. This is a week where you've got lots of cosmic support to have some powerful breakthroughs take place in that very space. So what we also have taking place with this energy, though, because a lot of it is very quiet, this has to do with secrets coming out, in all honesty. Now, these secrets are very likely to be those that you are not aware of. So it's not necessarily going to be your secrets, because that's another part of the sky. There's a part of the sky that has to do with secrets that you keep. And then there's another part of the sky that has to do with the stuff that you don't want to admit to yourself. And that's where a lot of the energy is this week. And so wherever it is that you haven't wanted to admit what you already know to yourself, this is going to be that time. And it seems to have a very sweeping change on your life. So this could be very much for better or worse. This could also be where you sort of get honest with yourself about how your beliefs and your values are serving you and where they are not, and where they might be based on ultimately emotions and beliefs that you're actually trying to move away from, that are maybe not as evolved or not as ideal as they could be. Now, if you're one of those people who, you know, has sort of been delving into sort of the part of life that gets you mad, this is going to be your chance to look at why you're doing that. I posted something recently online that said, you know, promote what you love instead of bashing what you hate. If you've been inclined to sort of give more energy to things that you don't like, well, this is going to be your chance to ask yourself why you're doing that. So this is ultimately a chance to have a clearing take place on a level of energy, on a level of psyche, and especially where it is that you've been maybe like directing your energy in ways that aren't conducive. But not only that, like if you've been angry about something, but you're sort of getting angry about something totally different as a way to not look at what you're really angry at, this is when the universe is going to say, look, you are not going to have a choice. You're going to have to look at the root. You're going to have to look at what's really going on if you're ever going to feel better, if you're ever going to move yourself in an even better, even happier place personally. Now, where it comes to love this week, we do have lots of energy happening with the ruling planet of your opposite sign. So when this planet is activated this way, it does suggest sort of awarenesses, breakthroughs. Again, this goes back to the secrets maybe that you don't want to look at, you didn't want to acknowledge, for better or worse. Okay, so this could be for better or not. So where it is that maybe you have not really wanted to be honest with yourself about your feelings in regard to another person, if you've had somebody there and they're sort of like, you know, your second choice, not really your first choice, this is you being really honest with yourself about why and what is actually going on, what is happening on a deeper level with yourself as well. Now, what's also really interesting about this energy is that this can play out in established bonds, of course, that has to do with if there are things about your partner that you know you should be more patient with, or things that have been aggravating you and it may be not even about your partner. This is where you get really honest with yourself as well. Ultimately, it's all moving you towards greater love and greater wisdom. If secrets come out and there's secrets that end up being big game changers, then that's the way it needs to be. Ultimately, the Sun and Mercury moving into your sign means that you are starting fresh. You're preparing to start fresh, preparing to start new on much more clearer ground. And sometimes what is not obvious needs to come to the surface so that you can make a more honest evaluation of exactly where you are, so that from there you can decide where you want to go in love and in just about every area of life. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have got your ruling planet, Mercury, having all kinds of conversations in the sky. In particular, these conversations are happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with friendship. It has to do with the people who are with you, who are on your side, people you align with, even casual acquaintances at that, but people that are sort of with you in memberships, okay? So any kind of groups that you belong to, these are fellows in that group. So it's going to be these very people who end up sort of in their own way trying to facilitate a new beginning for you, a new understanding for you. Now, if there's any change, a meaningful change that you've been trying to create in your life, it really is going to be involvement in a group that ends up helping you tremendously. So if there ever was a time to seek group support, this would be it. That can be a hugely stabilizing force in your life now and actually for a really long time to come. However, there is that element there of a bit of an awakening, a bit of a rude awakening at that. And it might just be that whether it's a friend or whether it's your involvement in a group that ends up having you facing some things within yourself that maybe you don't always want to look at, and having you maybe revealing more than you thought you could and not really sure about how you feel about it. This could be that time as well. So, you know, there's a saying that we're as sick as our secrets, right? And I'm not saying it's going to necessarily manifest this way for everybody, but if you're one of those people who's seeking support more on an emotional level, this could be a time when a lot of stuff comes to the surface and ultimately leads to good in your life. So again, if you are one of those people, if you need help in any area of your life, in any way, this is a time that you can reach out and expect yourself to find your kindred spirits, if you will, who end up being really helpful to you on your path for possibly a very long time to come. Now, if that's not your situation, this week can manifest a little bit differently for you, and the focus will be more on, yes, there will be friendships sort of as part of this, but chances are that it might work out this week that a friend and money don't mix, okay? So be mindful of that. Friends and money do not mix right about now. This is not the time to get involved in any kind of financial arrangements, any kind of lending, borrowing situations with a friend and finances. Keep them separate this week. And if you're able to do that, you're going to find yourself able to have some really genuine conversations with the people that you care about, and have the kind of conversations ultimately that bring a lot of stability into your life as well. So talking, hugely important. Talking to friends or talking within a group, very important as well, creating good, stable, strong energy for you for a very long time to come. Now, those of you, as far as relationships goes, as far as love goes, those of you who are in an established bond, I think that you are going to find, because conversation is so highlighted right now, I think you're going to find that talking things out really has a way of bringing the two of you that much closer, of solidifying that bond that much more. Those of you who are open to meeting somebody new, well, it really is. There is that promise that you could make a very genuine connection with somebody, possibly online. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week we do have Venus standing still in the sky, your ruling planet standing still in the sky over the course of the weekend that ends this week, going retrograde. Now, I'll talk more about this next week for next week's horoscope, but I did want to mention it and point out especially that you are going to want to watch the Venus special horoscopes that I created. A special sort of supplement to the weekly. So please do have a look at that for a more complete picture of some of the themes that are going to be coming up for you now, particularly next week and particularly over the course of the summer. For this particular forecast, for this particular week, I want to focus a lot more on some of the other things that are happening for you in the sky. And it's largely based on career. It's looking at what's happening in the big picture of your life, looking at this from a perspective of just what is it that you desire to achieve? Just what is it that you're desiring to accomplish? And we've got this party going on at the very top of your sky. So whenever we have this much energy happening, the very top of the sky, it does suggest a time that feels very consequential. That feels like you're getting clearer on your direction, on your purpose, and having a real sense of just what it is that you desire to achieve. What's it all about? What kind of legacy are you leaving? So these are big questions, in some cases lofty questions, depending on what kind of Libra you are. But this really is very much of the focus, and some of the answers may very well surprise you. In some cases, surprise you tremendously. Now, this party, if you will, is receiving energy from Saturn, but also Uranus as well. In particular, Uranus in your opposite sign. This really has to do with relationships. This has to do with love, how love fits into the picture for you. And in particular, it looks like some of these tougher questions you're going to be thinking about and asking yourself, part of the impetus is going to come from another person. You know, we are very lucky. We are most fortunate when we know that someone will be honest with us. That's part of love. That's part of what love asks, is for someone to be honest with us. Now, this actually comes from, this understanding is articulated really beautifully by Scott M. Peck. I like to quote this book sometimes. It was just such a beautiful book and a huge bestseller way back in the day called The Road Less Traveled. And there are several themes in that book that sort of really shaped me and my worldview, if you will. I read it when I was very young. So that's why I tend to mention it from time to time. I find myself saying something and I go, oh, wait, that comes from Scott M. Peck. So I always try to honor the ancestors to thought, because I'm very much of the belief that nothing really is original. Everything has sort of a legacy, and we can sort of trace back the ancestry to thought, and we're connected to all that as well. So I'm putting this out there, Scott M. Peck, and actually this is something that he articulates in that book, that part of love means honesty. We think love just means acceptance and seeing the best in the other person. Well, yeah, that's a part of it, but also being able to tell the truth to another person, being able to look at them and be honest with them. And when someone can be honest with you about where it is that you are not living up to your very best, where is it that you're not really being honest with yourself, which is one of the themes this week. I mean, this week, a big theme this week is honesty. That might come on pretty strong, but eventually leads to stability. Well, this honesty is likely to come about through a partner, whether it's a business partner or love partner. And there's been lots of honesty in that direction for a few years now, but in this case, it really has to do with thinking about the bigger picture of your life. So wherever it is that you need to get clearer, you're going to find that clarity, likely through your one-on-one connections at that. So this can speak to you in terms of your love life, yes. In an established bond, it might be that someone you love, that you're with, is honest with you about something that might or may not have anything to do with the relationship itself, but more has to do with you and your direction. May be honest with you, and that allows you to understand which way you're going. Or it might be that it is not only just about love, but it's about a business partnership that does that in its own way. But romantically speaking, this could also be you being honest with yourself about what is it that you really want in love? What is it that you're really going for? So this very powerful personal process takes place where you're getting a clearer sense of your direction and a clearer sense of ultimately the higher goals that you have and where it is that love fits in or doesn't fit in, where it is that something within you needs to change, where is it that you're being, consistent with yourself and not. Maybe you said, no, I don't want that type of person, but then you make a connection with somebody very quickly and it takes you aback. and you're so willing to throw out so much of yourself and your dreams or whatever. So this is going to be a chance to be really honest. You might surprise yourself by the things you see in yourself over this sky. But ultimately, as I said, this leads to stability. This leads to a much more solid understanding of yourself and your worth and what it is ultimately you believe that you have that is of value in every area of life. And ultimately, this will lead you in a direction of feeling much more stable. In fact, I do think that at least where it comes to the career front, in some ways, there are going to be some Libras out there that end this week with a financial and or career victory. So it could be a career victory, could be a financial victory, but they're feeding into each other, which means that you're taking on greater responsibility, you've got a higher position, or you understand how it is that you can better live that life purpose by aligning, whether it's your sense of self-worth or aligning a real sense of prosperity that you're creating now. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we have got some wonderful energy taking place for you in particular. So while other signs out there might feel a little thrown off their game, I do think that you are one of those signs out there that's going to feel most stable, most secure, and most strong. And this is largely thanks to Saturn in your sign, getting supportive energy from and reaching out to the Sun and Mercury in harmonious placements in fellow water signs Cancer. So the fact that these three planets actually this week are speaking, Saturn in your sign and Mercury and the Sun in fellow water sign Cancer, the fact that this conversation is taking place says to me that you are thinking about your vision. So there's sort of a step up where you're thinking about, okay, how can I go out into the world? And this really is about you creating that sense of inner stability so that you can step out into more of the world, or step out into front of more of the world at that. So there's a sense of progress, there's a sense of direction right now, there's a sense of understanding of what you need to put into place if you're going to achieve even bigger things for your life, and the real motivation to do it as well, the real clarity of vision of your future to do it as well. A really good time if you are in school, if you're in any kind of university environment, I gotta say, it can be a really positive time as well. There might be a little bit of a surprise around the bend, around the corner. And what I mean by that is you are going to want to watch a little bit about, it's almost like your work. Does your work support ultimately your vision, where it is that you desire to go? So that could, sort of, there might be like some work conflict with an exam or something like that might play out. But it does look like in some way you're looking at day job, you're looking at what it is that you have to do on a day-to-day basis and where it is ultimately that you most desire to go, and trying to find that right place. Now, what I mean by most desire to go is, what is it that you're trying to put into place now, and what actions you need to take now so that in the bigger picture of your life you can manifest bigger things. So this is very much about vision, also about experience, okay? And wherever it is that you might need to fine tune or find a balance, or all of a sudden not really sure, this is going to be your chance to get that clarity. Now, I actually think there are going to be some Scorpios out there who get some kind of message that seems to come out of nowhere, that says to them, look, what you're doing, this job that you're doing, this is not the end all be all. This is not what it is ultimately that you're meant to do. Now, this can play out in terms of, you might just have a day job, right? This could be a very clear understanding of ultimately what it is that you truly desire to do. You might be in a job that you love, right? In a career that you love. But this is going to be the chance for you to refine and to understand how maybe you're doing something in the context of that role that you want to start moving away from. But this is going to be part of the awareness that takes place for you now. What we also have taking place for you as well, along with this very stabilizing energy, does suggest to me that, as I said, you're stepping out into more of the world. You're preparing the ground for bigger things to come. As part of this, a chance to travel might show up, and you might not know what to do with it. It might seem a little inconvenient, but ultimately you see the bigger term advantages to it, and it does actually help you tremendously in many different ways. Now, in the context of love this week, well, look, we do have the ruling planet of your opposite sign, Venus, standing still as we get to the end of the week, what we call stationary retrograde. So she will be at her most potent, her most passionate. I'll talk more about this in next week's horoscope, but I am going to advise you to watch the Venus horoscope. I did a special Venus horoscope based on this Venus retrograde, so you are going to want to have a look at that or look at that again for a more complete picture. But let's just say love-wise, there's passion in the air. There's love in the air. There's a real sense of wanting to be bonded with another person. As a result, you are going to find that there is certainly love on offer for you. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week we have got all this wonderful energy happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with what we call other people's money, okay? So this is an area of life I've actually been talking to you about quite a bit. I talked about it in the monthly horoscopes. I think I talked about it in last week's horoscope as well, because this is really where the party has been for the last few weeks. Now, that party is going to start to like break up by the time we get to the end of the week. The focus is going to start to change. So it's almost like the universe wants to give you one last hurrah and to help you get clear of or clear about money, what needs to heal in terms of your relationship with money, and understanding that your life truly is more abundant than you may be giving yourself credit for. Now, if you are like involved in some kind of funding or receiving some kind of funding, this could be like sort of getting a note that says, whoa, we don't know if you still qualify for this, and then you've got to provide some paperwork. If that's the case, that's the case, no problem. You can do it. You can fill out the forms. You can provide whatever validation they need so that you can go along your way and do what it is that you need to do. This can also be the chance for you to find a greater sense of financial stability through emotional pathways. And what I mean by that is, you know, money, dealing with money, it's a part of life. It's something that we have to do in our modern world. It is a part of living. Like they say, bills are a part of life, right? And as part of life, you have to find a way to manage whatever emotions and feelings, because money can be a really emotional issue as well. Find a way to manage those feelings and emotions around that in a way that ultimately ensures that you stay connected to what really matters, and you always remember how your life really is very abundant, truly is very abundant. And you're really good at that, actually. You're good at staying connected to ultimately where it is and how it is that your life is very abundant. So stay focused on that, find your energy in that, and you'll strengthen yourself all around. And you'll find the money, whatever money questions might be there, become that much more stable as well. Now, what's also really interesting about what's taking place for you this week is that we've got energy slowly but surely starting to move into a much more harmonious placement for you. So the focus is going to start to change. It's not completely, you're not completely out of the woods, but by the time we get you to the end of the week, your focus is going to start to change dramatically, so in a way that's just so much more comfortable for you, that puts you so much more in your element, that connects you with a real sense of happiness and direction and a real sense of adventure for your life as well. In fact, if there's anybody out there who's going to be taking on an adventure that gets them all excited and enthusiastic, start planning for something that just lights you up, it very much likely is to be you. So remember that and tap into that energy. Ultimately, the stuff that's happening in the early part of the week is just a blip, and it's just sort of like residual of energy that you've been having to deal with really since last week, if not a little bit before. So that slowly but surely is going to become more and more a thing of the past as you start to focus in on the things that really matter and what could matter more than your happiness. It may very well be love that gets you traveling, okay? So whether it is you and an established bond, going off on a romantic adventure, temporary or permanently, relocating or otherwise, very much possible now. But also, if you are open to meeting somebody new, this could be a time when you make a connection with somebody who is decidedly different than what you've known before, and something about you just seems to love that so much. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This week we have got a lot of energy happening in your opposite sign. Now, I've actually been talking to you about this last week, possibly the week before as well, in the monthly horoscopes as well. So it really is other people, your one-on-one connections. Love, big area of focus for you now. Partnerships, big area of focus for you now, as well as you're thinking about you and your life and your way forward. It seems that other people have a very sweeping effect on ultimately what directions it is that you believe that you're going. So it is very possible, I will be honest with you, it is very possible that some sort of uncomfortable situation, it seems like where it comes to love, whether it's just an attraction, whether it's an actual partnership, committed relationship, there may be an uncomfortable situation sort of in the air right about now, okay? So if that's the case, understand, allow yourself to feel whatever it is you feel, but really tap into, as I spoke about in the intro, tap into that Saturn, okay? That's going to bring you the stability, because ultimately it looks like while there might be some uncomfortable energy taking place, there's also some really stabilizing factors happening that are going to allow you to make a solid decision that you really can be proud of. A decision with a real focus on the future. What's going to work best for a future vision for your life, for ultimately the most loftiest aims you have for your life? How does this current situation fit in or doesn't fit in? And what adjustments need to be made so that you can actually put yourself on that pathway. So where it is that the other people in your life are supporting this higher vision that you have for your life, that's awesome. Where it is that they're supporting the greatest wishes that you have for your life, that's amazing too. Where it is that a friend can be love or vice versa, that is amazing too. That's the area that's going to bring you greater stability. But there may be some emotional issues that are very personal, very private, that you may still be dealing with, that might be a little bit in the ether, that might need to come out in the open. Well, ultimately, that might not, in all honesty, might not necessarily be able to happen in as direct a way that you want. You may have to let that happen in ways that are a little bit quieter within yourself as you strive to understand yourself in the context of the people who are closest to you. Again, business or love-wise as well. So, where it comes to love, those of you in an established bond, as I said, it's a little bit of a slippery slope, if you will. It looks like there might be, you've got to be really kind and gentle with yourself. You've got to remember the things that you love about each other, because while there's like some really wonderful, stable energy that says we respect each other as friends, you want to emphasize that, because there's also some energy that's saying, like, you know, that can sort of indicate, I'm sorry to say this, right? But it's possible, and I'm always going to be honest with you, but this can say something about having disagreements, maybe passionate disagreements. What you want to make sure is it doesn't go to that realm of being disrespectful or feeling like you went too far in a direction that you don't want the relationship to go. So ground it, keep it really about the respect that you have, and from there, whatever choices you make, whatever you decide based on the differences, will be rooted in a real sense of maturity and a sense of respect for each other as well. If you are open to meeting somebody new, this could be, just a real surprise who this other person ends up being. So whether you're just getting to know them, whether you're interested in them, you might end up being really surprised. Whoa, that's who you are? I had no idea. Like that, I really see some Capricorns out there having that kind of moment where you surprise yourself a little bit by realizing that you've been attracted to somebody or been drawn to somebody, but they are a whole other way than you had been imagining or you had been envisioning. And so let that be part of the learning if that is the case for you. And ultimately, remember, as I keep saying, there's a lot of stable energy as well. Strengthen that energy, strengthen the stability, because that ultimately is going to ensure that you make decisions that you can be proud of. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we have got both Mercury and Mars speaking to your ruling planet, which means that unpredictability factor is like amped up for you. I'm sorry to say. But we've also got the Sun and Mercury speaking with your ancient ruler, Saturn, which means the ability to be really grounded and mature and strong is also amped up for you in particular as well. So I do think of all the signs out there, you are the sign that's going to have the most interesting week. Okay, you are going to be one of those people that has the week that really can be a game-changing time, really can be a time when you're seeing things very differently. You're deciding what we're talking about, thinking about, what really is not, what you're done talking about, what you're done thinking about, deciding what is worth your energy, what's really not. You might be one of those signs, very likely a conversation pushing some buttons, and then you're going to have to decide what it all means to you. Now, what is really great and the real stabilizing area and the area that I'm going to advise you to go in is career. Think about your career. Think about what you want to achieve. Think about what you have been in the process of working on and doing since the end of 2012, because it was at that time that Saturn moved into this particular part of the sky and Saturn is now having its last hurrah, if you will, in this particular part of the sky. And so this is a time when the rewards are now going to start to come. Some accolade is going to come this week. And it is ultimately meant to show you that you have established yourself in a position of authority, in a position of respect as well. And the work is going to be there to match it. And so it isn't just that, okay, great, you've achieved something, awesome for you, but that there's the work supporting that as well, the client supporting that as well, which means responsibility being there as well. But it looks like something that feels very good to you, feels very much like an achievement and a sense of accomplishment for you as well. This might also play out in terms of your health. So if you are like an athlete, or you do something very based on your body, connected to your body and your career, this becomes that much more a powerful symbol for you as well. Now, in the context of love, we have Venus standing still as we get to the end of the week. Stationary retrograde, as we call it in astrology. Now, I'll talk a lot more about this next week, but as you approach the end of the week, the passion gets palatable, gets that much more exciting. So make sure that you watch the Venus retrograde special horoscope I did, the special horoscope video. I'd advise you to watch it again, to get a clearer picture about the energy that's only going to be amplifying for you as you move further and further into the week in the context of love. For Aquarians and love fit very much together right about now. And so if you are in an established bond, expect things to get really mushy and passionate. If you are open to meeting somebody new, that person may very well just land in your lap right about now. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we have got a lot of energy happening. The party is still happening in a very harmonious part of the sky for you, fellow water sign Cancer. Now, this is very romantic, okay? A very romantic part of the sky, a very flirty part of the sky as well, which tells me that you are thinking about love and you are thinking about genuine heart connections and you are thinking about your joy and your happiness as well. Now, this is something that I actually have been talking about with you last week. I spoke about this in the monthly horoscopes as well. So I would advise you to watch that again for a more complete picture of the energy that's amplifying now. But thankfully, the stuff that's been kind of challenging with this, by the time we get to the end of the week, that energy will start to dissipate. So the party's going to start to break up a little bit as we approach the end of the week. But considering how harmoniously placed some key players are in this, I actually think that you will be able to utilize many things very much to your advantage. Now, there is an interesting connection taking place between money and love this week. And so I think, if memory serves me correctly, because you know I make a lot of videos, and especially with Synchronicity University, have been really trying to churn out as many videos as possible. I do believe, though, that I did talk to you about the fact that we have an interesting conversation or interesting placements happening that speak to love and money. And so if love is costing you money, you might want to have a look at that, okay, and what that's saying. Your feelings around money. It might be that the person you love is sort of in a different financial bracket than yourself. That could be part of it. Another part of it might be that you feel that this person is expecting you to bring money to the table. Okay, let's just put it that way. Are you expected to pay for every single date? These are the types of things that might be sort of in the ether, or things that you're considering and talking about as well. And so these are going to be some of the issues you're seeking to work out. Now, you want to be sure that you are really considering the bigger picture of your life, okay? And not only just about bigger picture, but the vision for your life. What are the things you still want to experience? What are the things you still feel that you need to do if you are going to go on and experience those bigger picture things? That's going to be part of the picture this week as well. So you're thinking about that also. So how you do this and how you're going to approach this situation has to be rooted in a real sense of ultimately what is it that you're enthusiastic about? What is it that you hope to build? What are you envisioning for your life? And where is it that effort that's needed to put things into place, where is it that falls into where it is ultimately that you are desiring to go and desiring to ultimately fulfill over the course of your lifetime as well. So when I look at this particular sky, it says to me on the one hand, you may be looking at right now where you are in love with a bit of a different lens, okay? It might be you're thinking, you know what, I want to go back to school, I want to travel more, I want to figure out who I really am, what I really believe, or you might feel like you want to go on a little bit of a spiritual pilgrimage, if you will, before you really understand and really decide what this love is going to mean to you. It might be that you go on a pilgrimage of sorts because of love as well. Now that is certainly a possibility thanks to Venus standing still in the sky as we get to the end of the week. Now I'll talk more about Venus next week, and I did talk a lot about Venus in the Venus focused horoscope, so you are going to want to have a look at that. But having said that and putting that to the side just for a moment, there is now the real potential for you to get very clear as to what needs to happen in your life if you are going to move yourself towards a real sense of love on a heart level, not necessarily partnership, but the experience that love provides and feeling loved as well. That's going to be part of your sacred journey this week, whether you're in an established bond or you're open to new love. There's going to be that genuine desire to feel alive, the type of life that only love can provide. Now, for some of you out there, this energy is going to manifest more in terms of your creativity. Your creative endeavors are going to be getting a lot of your energy, and it looks like ultimately your creative endeavors may actually open up more of the world to you. Well, thank you so much to everybody out there, to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.